Okay, let's get started here. This is in reference to Billy's Talking Points memo from Monday, August 25th, which he talks about the continuing threat from ISA, Putin, and China. And again, Billy, you're playing the record over and over and over again, and I understand why you do it. I love you because that's how you do it. You continue to create that fear factor about this is a terrible world and it's very dangerous, and Obama's not doing nothing to help save the planet, save us, save the United States from all of these threats. So let's go into aspect number one. Let's go into Putin. Okay, so you said Putin had a threat, sent some tanks in just the other day. All right, well, this is what's going on here. Again, I think I've mentioned this a week or two ago, is that Putin, their economy is going downhill. I don't know if I know that you know this, but I don't know why you haven't mentioned this, is that the sanctions that the United States has imposed on Russia, and of course then the sanctions that they've imposed upon us, are hurting Russia. They're not hurting us. Their economy is down. Their GDP is down. They're having a terrible time right now. They don't have enough goods on the shelves in some areas. All right? Now, so what Putin is doing in terms of aggravating another country, he's wagging the dog. So he needs to do this because if he doesn't have this external threat where he will be the savior, right? They'll get rid of him because he can't run the economy worth a crap. And that's what's going on. Putin is acting, is not acting out of power. He's acting, from a much lower base. He can't provide for his people, so he has to create the diversion. All right? Now, is it a volatile situation? Yes. Could it possibly blow up? Yes. Is the United States and its allies working frantically? I do believe that the Prime Minister of Germany was there, just Merkel. She was there recently, just in the last week or so, to the Ukraine. I know that we're talking. We have intermediaries. We're talking directly. More arms. How to straighten out their government. How to make it more productive. How to train their military, those types of things. So there's a lot that's going on. It's going to take time. Putin doesn't necessarily have a lot of time. He has to create the diversion. He's got to create the need where he can come in and be the savior. And like I said, his economy is not doing well. Now, I know that you don't want to bring up any of that kind of crap. You just want to act like Putin, is a gunslinger and just wants to take off. He's a very calculated man, all right? But, the worse the Russian economy gets, his ego will say he's got to go into the Ukraine. We have to be very careful about that, yes. But is President Obama doing everything that's really right? Because this has been going on for 4 or 5 months. And guess what? He still hasn't invaded yet. No American lives have been lost. Okay, let's go back to ISIL or ISIL. Again, I know you want to bring up this threat. And you mentioned several times how this threat will come to our shore. And that we need to bomb them to the smithereens. We need to kill all the savages. I do like that adjective. Yes, Bill, it really is good. Let's go into one aspect of it all. Is there a threat that some of those elements could come to the United States? Yes, there is a threat for that. How is that going to happen? People who've been in the United States and in Europe, who have gone back to Yemen, who've gone back to different areas of the Middle East, got their ISIL training, whatever type of it is, with existing visas would come back. How is that going to be monitored? That's going to be monitored like a criminal investigation. It's not going to be monitored by the DOD. So we're going to track people as they go to these places. We're going to monitor what they're doing. We're going to have to intercept their email. We might have to do that if there's good probable cause. Are there things that we need to watch for in terms of their actions? Yes, of course. These are all things. But this is all going to be done, at a level through the Department of Homeland Security and through Interpol in Europe. All of these things would be tracked. Can people slip in? Yes, they can slip in. No system is ever perfect. So that's where the threat would come from the United States. Don't know how big it is. I know that we're working very hard behind the scenes. President Obama and the entire government, the Homeland Security, whatever parts of the military involved in that type of thing, are looking into that. Those people from here, those people from Europe who have passports, who are going to these places and getting more indoctrinated, we're tracking them. We are tracking them. So now the next part about ISIL, they got some money because they took over a bank in Mosul, I heard. They got some weaponry because the Iraqis just turned and ran. And they have a little bit of stuff. Are they a formidable fighter? No. They have one means of attack. They find a weak point. They send in a suicide bomber or two. That point then becomes accessible to them. They enter on that point and they commit their savagery. Yes, and it is savagery, and I will admit that. But they have been stopped on numerous occasions already, which the European press and Al Jazeera has mentioned, but hasn't come on Fox News because I know you want everyone to continue to be so scared. But they're a ragtag bunch. They don't really have a leader. They have some leadership, but they don't present themselves as a formidable army. That in that particular area, considering what's going on, are they a formidable army? Yes, they are more of a formidable army. Can they be stopped? Yes, they can be stopped. Maybe we should bomb in Syria, but remember, when we bomb in Syria to get rid of ISIL, we're in essence supporting Assad, whom we didn't want to support. And if I do recall that there were times in the past year where McCain, who's that nutcase in South Carolina? I can't even think. Graham and other people were talking about arming the rebels in Syria. Well, some of those rebels were ISIS. How do we know who's who over there? We don't. So we have to be careful of what we're doing. We also might be also being careful about not indiscriminately bombing entire towns and wiping out a town so we can kill 10 or 30 or 50 or 100 ISIS people when there's 10,000 people in that town. We don't want to do that. No, we want to do what's right, okay, and find them, isolate them, kill them, whether it's drones, whether it's airstrikes, whether it's with military planes. We don't want boots on the ground. Just like you said, Billy, we don't want boots on the ground. So is this an ongoing thing? Yes, it's an ongoing thing. I think that you would be very well versed to having a show on exactly why ISIS wants us to have boots on the ground. Because they want that to happen so that they can get even more people to go against the United States. They're a ragtag bunch. They're just appealing to a very, very limited number of people. Have they been effective? Yes. But we don't want boots on the ground. You don't want boots on the ground, Billy. It is going to take some time. Do we have to work with our friends? Yes, we have to work with the Iraqis. Maybe we need to work with the Iranians. Maybe we need to work with the Jordanians more, the Turks more, Saudi Arabia more. Remember that just this week some people from Qatar, I believe it was Qatar, helped get another U.S. hostage out of there. So we're working with all of the people that are there. And remember, it's Saudi Arabia Sunni. Iran Shia. Iraq is mostly Shia, but it was run by Sunni for hundreds of years. There's varying sects within it. There's a lot going on. And I know that President Obama does not want to indiscriminately, let's say, blow a town up to smithereens and kill all the women and children and all of the people in there, people my age, indiscriminately. No, we want to find them and we want to get them, and we will get them. It will take time. And if you want to bring up one other thing, yes, we knew about ISA. It grew and metastasized very, very quickly. And I don't know what the military was seeing. I don't know what they were saying behind the scenes. But it's got full attention now, and it needs to be taken care of sooner rather than later. Let's get into the last point where you wanted to bring in the fear in terms of China. Now, that kind of stuff, buzzing planes in international waters, that happens all the time. I remember that was in Top Gun. But that happened many times even before that. The Chinese, as your buddy Krauthammer had to say, very deliberate, very, have a long thought process. We should have a long thought process about what we're going to do. But I'm going to bring this back to another point. With all these things that you're talking about, Billy, ISIS, Putin, China, okay? You want to help alleviate them as a threat? All right, put more money into education. teach these children in the United States growing up what a real threat China is, what a real threat Russia is, what a real threat some of these Islamic jihadists are and can be, and how we work with our partners to solve these problems. Okay, invest in education so that we can have better educated people, so we know how so that we can have a better economy, so that we can just have a much better place to live where people want to come. You know, people see the United States still as that great country, all right? But, you know, I know it's important for you to keep people afraid, but I'm saying, you know, the government's going to do the right thing. They're doing the right thing. You're nitpicking on every little thing that, you know, was addressed usually months ago. It comes to the surface now, but it was addressed a long time ago. Things are working in the correct direction. It takes a while to see what's actually going on and then to assess things. And I know that it's important for you to keep the fear in your audience. Keep them thinking that we're going to be invaded. Keep them thinking that people are going to come in here and slaughter us. And the way you write is just so great because that's how you do it. And that's what I wanted to comment on today. But I wish you could tell your audience, you know, exactly what I'm telling you is that, you know, you're blowing this whole thing so far out of proportion, and I know it fits your narrative. You need that narrative of fear. You need that narrative of people watching you to see how bad things are in the world, how bad Obama is, and that's just not really what's going on in this world.